G'day and welcome to another edition of Hef's Beer Reviews. Today I'm reviewing this beer here. It's called Equilux. It's a white stout and it comes from 5 Barrel Brewing in Wollongong in New South Wales. Comes in this 440ml can. 6% is the ABV, so 2.1 standard drinks. Before I get into the review, just quick disclaimer. I don't always film a review of every beer that I try, especially if it's something that's reasonably obscure, especially in terms of distribution, unless it's something that I think is interesting and worth filming. And this one falls into that category, white stout. Now, I think I've only ever had one white stout before. It was by Zytho, which is Pinnacle Drinks or Woolworths, and it was terrible, absolutely terrible. Anyone who's watched this channel for any length of time would know that I'm a huge fan of dark beers, any dark beer style, but especially stouts. So I'm really interested to try this one. I'm a big fan also of their regular core range stout, which is a milk stout. So let's crack this open, see what it's like. Give it a pour into the Spiegelau stout glass. All right, as you can see, it's a golden colour, a white stout. It's got a little bit of a haze to it as well, and we've got just over a finger of fluffy, creamy looking white head aroma. All right, very interesting aroma. So with this beer, there's no, as you can probably tell by looking at it, but there's no dark malt used whatsoever. It's all pale malt, but they've also used oats and lactose to give it presumably some creaminess, a little bit of vanilla and some sweetness. And then to get those traditional stout flavours, they've used coffee and chocolate. That's what I'm getting in the aroma. Certainly some sweetness, but also some coffee and some chocolate coming through. Really interesting. Let's see what it's like. Cheers. White stout. Nice smooth mouthfeel. Definitely some lingering sweetness from the lactose. The body's light to medium. I'm getting more of the chocolate and then the lactose sweetness with some vanilla. I'm not getting a whole lot of coffee at the moment. It's there, but it's subtle. It is straight from the fridge, so I'm hoping as it warms up that I'll get a little bit more of that flavour that comes through. Very, very interesting beer to try. Not a style that you see particularly often. And if the other white stout that I've tried is anything to go by, not one that's easy to do well either. It's certainly on the sweet side. So I guess in terms of the flavour profile with the sweetness, with the chocolate, bit of vanilla, and that creaminess as well that you're getting from the oats, I guess it kind of has a flavour similar to a milk stout. So if you're partial to a milk stout, if you're partial to any stout whatsoever, I'd certainly recommend giving it a try. Might not be this particular one, but if you see a white stout, certainly. Sessionability for me would be quite low. It's probably the sweetness more than anything else. the ABV at 6%, that's certainly not prohibitive in my book. Price point, I can't remember actually. Mrs. Heff picked up a couple of cans of this a month or so back, and I can't remember what she paid for them. What she paid. Well knows what I paid. But anyway, one more sip, we'll give it a score. Look, I can say unequivocally it's the best white stout that I've had. It's a mile better than the Zytho one. If you see that, steer clear. But if you see another one, give it a go. My palate is adjusting to what I thought was initially something that was reasonably sweet. It's quite smooth to drink. There's not a lot of bitterness. As I said, I don't think it's a style to brew well. There's certainly an interest and an intrigue factor that goes along with this style. I'd have to say they've done a pretty good job. My criticism is I'd like more coffee. The last beer that I reviewed, or one that I reviewed recently at least, was the coffee lager from Sunday Road, which obviously had a really good whack of coffee in it because it was a very pronounced aroma and taste. I'd like a little bit more in this. I guess the limiting factor is, of course, though, if you add in too much, it's going to make it go dark. It's going to change the colour too much. So it's probably a fine line between colour and taste and aroma. But final score, look, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. 3.5 out of 5 for the White Stout from 5 Barrel Brewing. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time on Hef's Beer Reviews.